Avant-garde metal is quite a strange genre. It is essentially metal's other category. If you think there's too many metal genres, well apparently so does everyone, because eventually you hit a point where people shrug and just shove it in the vague avant-garde category. Now it is true that some bands that get shoved into this box do actually have more specific labels. These are the bands that fall into these categories: funk metal, post metal, and mathcore. For just a few examples, I'm gonna try to avoid bands that fall into one of these categories, as I have a hunch that I may get a request to do a top 10 for one of those in the future, so I'm gonna try to stick to albums that are really outside the box, ones that truly wouldn't fit in any other genre. Number 10, It's All Happening by I Wrestled a Bear Once. Now, I've said before that this is what I call lol so randoms core, a very millennial micro-genre. This is the stuff that scene kids listened to back in 2010, thinking that they were so quirky and funny.
Then, like, you peoples were all like, you was trolling! And I was like, I am not trolling! I am boxy, you see?
I describe it as a mix of avant-garde metal, deathcore, and mathcore. It is weird for the sake of weird. Random for the sake of random. It belongs here because it belongs nowhere else. They clearly don't take themselves too seriously, and some of it is actually alright and pretty catchy. I certainly do not anticipate doing a top 10 lol so randoms core list, so it's gonna be number 10 on this list instead. Number 9, A Gradual Decline in Morale by Kim Dracula.
They ain't ready for me! They ain't ready for me!
This is a mix of avant-garde metal and trap metal. My favorite aspect of this is the vocal delivery. Much here is comparable to Korn's scatting and Archspire style rapid fire vocals. Even when the vocals are clean vocals, the delivery is still very odd. It's difficult to recommend any particular tracks because every individual track has ADHD and changes multiple times. It does have a zoomer brain rot quality to it in that regard. I wish that some moments would linger longer because I like some of it a lot. But then other moments lose me a bit.
A swarm of police officers are caught in a car chase. They are in fast pursuit.
Number 8, Mayhem in Blue by Hail Spirit Noir. Some rather unconventional black metal that is very psychedelic rock influenced. Maybe even a bit of surf rock in there. Basically, it's 1960s flavored black metal. Essentially, it's as if Ghost were a metal band. For if you are feeling true, but also a hippie, Riders to Utopia is my favorite. Good, cult-like energy.
Riders to Utopia. Riders to Utopia.
Number 7, I Disagree by Poppy.
Don't cry, keep on trying. Don't cry, keep on.
A pop star gone metal. Sort of. This is all over the place. Hyperpop, kawaii metal. Industrial.
Keep telling yourself that you've been playing nice and go back for forgiveness from Jesus to Christ.
Etc. It goes hard at times, but also has more delicate moments. I love the creepy, yet cute, feel of her music. Poppy started off as a guilty pleasure for me, but honestly, I dig it a lot. Number 6, Colors by Between the Buried and Me. Typically, Between the Buried and Me blend prog metal, melodic metalcore, and deathcore. But this one is a bit more experimental. I have even called Colors a lol so randoms core album, which is maybe a bit uncharitable, as they take themselves a bit more seriously than I Wrestled a Bear Once. I feel comfortable at least calling this an avant-garde metal record, however. Colors is a beloved record and often considered one of the best prog metal albums, but I think it's quite at home on this list as well. Perhaps many would just consider this to be strictly a prog metal release. But I think it ventures into WTF territory enough to warrant the avant-garde label. Number 5. I'm just going to put the name of this one up on the screen because I do not even want to attempt to pronounce this. By Nagura Bungit. For a change of pace, here's one that's a lot less gimmicky. It's a little bit black metal, a little bit folk metal, a little bit something else. It's rather ambient and atmospheric. Might be the most quote-unquote normal metal album on the list, so maybe it doesn't really belong here, but it's an otherworldly experience, which is fitting since there's a track about Hyperborea, the mythical northern paradise. That's truly the vibe that this evokes, so I can't recommend it enough. The Romanian folk instruments add a very unique feel to the music, with an almost prehistoric sound. Number 4, Pie Nature by Ninja Spy. You can oversimplify Ninja Spy by calling them ska metal, and while that's an apt description, they have a wide array of influences, most notably grunge and hardcore. They go from sounding like Pearl Jam to having a hardcore breakdown, followed by a happy ska verse,
Life's too short to be thinking like this, but I was not prepared.
then some death metal sprinkled in.
Don't conform.
This is avant-garde metal if there ever was some. This makes System of a Down sound somewhat normal. Despite how chaotic it is, it's insanely catchy. I'm not a big fan of the first track, which is a bit jarring, but every other track afterwards is awesome. I think it might be somewhat political, but it's so incoherent that I can't really be offended by that. I just like the ska. It's fun, and it works seamlessly.
One end on the trigger, waiting for the revolution.
Number 3, Eyeworks by the Dillinger Escape Plan. I know I said I was excluding mathcore and funk metal, but Eyeworks incorporates both genres simultaneously, so I think that makes it pretty avant-garde. I also just love the Dillinger Escape Plan and would feel weird about excluding them. There's also occasionally a fair bit of industrial in their sound as well.
I made a big mistake with you.
Eyeworks can reach extremity and intensity, but also has some pop-flavored choruses. I know this is a hot take to some, but I actually prefer this later era of the Dillinger Escape Plan with Greg on vocals. He can do both the suave cleans and the schizophrenic screaming. And of course, as always, the instrumentation is always insane. I hope that they start making music again in the future. Number 2, Life is But a Dream by Avenged Sevenfold. This might be a controversial pick, but I love it. A lot of people hate Life is But a Dream, and I think it's because the Avenged Sevenfold fans are disappointed it wasn't City of Evil Part 2, and the hipster-type metalheads who would normally like avant-garde metal don't want to admit to liking an Avenged Sevenfold record, a steep departure from their earlier melodic metalcore / metal and roll material.
Hey kid, do I have your attention?
This is all over the place. Life is But a Dream goes literally everywhere. I never in a million years would have expected to hear an Avenged Sevenfold record where one track sounds like Daft Punk, and the following track sounds like a Frank Sinatra tune.
And leave it on the fireplace.
They experiment with almost every single type of genre imaginable. It still has just enough of their metal and roll sound to be recognizably Avenged Sevenfold.
More power, more pace, more money, more taste.
But Life is But a Dream will definitely alienate anyone who listens to this expecting a metalcore record. Avenged Sevenfold has always flirted with prog metal, but this is by far the most experimental thing they've done. This might just be my favorite album of the 2020s so far. It's quite an experience. I'm noticing that avant-garde metal has sort of oddly become mainstream in this decade. Maybe I like the style a bit more than I initially thought. Number 1, In a Flesh Aquarium by Unexpect. Unexpect is the first band I think of when I hear the term avant-garde metal. It sounds like some sort of demonic circus. The two vocalists overlapping each other with very different styles. And the instrumentation changing constantly. Make it sound very disorienting. However, one thing I appreciate about Unexpect is despite all of the chaos, it's still quite catchy and memorable. It doesn't forget to be music. It's a theatrical descent into madness.
You darken our world to brighten the sky.
Very Alice in Wonderland-esque. It's truly unique. It's like Cradle of Filth meets Korn meets Nightwish meets Mr. Bungle. Very hard to define. This is the record to play if you really want to impress your clown GF. I'm sure that some in the audience are not going to be happy with my picks and would have preferred if my list had consisted of gore guts and a bunch of jazz fusion grindcore bands from the 90s. But personally, I say the true avant-garde bands are much more experimental than merely slightly quirky extreme metal. I'm glad I got a request to do this video, as I have gotten a better appreciation for avant-garde metal now, and this list gave me more creative freedom than other genres would have. Avant-garde metal, a style that represents the chaos of modernity and our reaction to it. I apologize if I missed your favorites. This is a rather broad genre. Thank you for watching. Our acculturation continues. Happy New Year.